Hey everybody, welcome back to Dr. Homebrew. I am Josh Newton from Tabletop Journeys. Really excited to be coming to you today to be talking about the 6th mission in Keys from the Golden Vault, Masterpiece Imbroglio. And I think that there's a lot of really fun elements to this mission that I'm really going to have mean that's going to appeal to kind of particular tables. So before I kind of get into it, I wanted to kind of start with that real quick and just make sure that I say really upfront, I love this mission, and I think that some of the comments that I'm going to make here may make it seem otherwise. I assure you it's not. I think that this is a lot of fun mission, that this is going to be a really fun mission with a lot of really interesting elements that would just, like so many of the other missions in here, are going to appeal to really particular tables. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I wanted to point out or talk about was the references and the names and everything in the mission here. So as you are going through, you'll note Masterpiece Imbroglio sounds like a really, really fancy title. It's kind of a take on Masterpiece Theater. Masterpiece Theater was this old PBS show where they would play like classic movies and stuff like that. And Imbroglio is something confusing or like overly pretentious, right? Embarrassing. And so Masterpiece Imbroglio is kind of an interesting play on that. Even if you kind of look at the group that you're working with, the Cognoscenti Esoterica. So in kind of like pseudo-Italian, the Cognoscenti Esoterica would be the group that knows about lots of weird things, right? So that's kind of what they're playing on. And that's kind of what I mean with there's a sense of familiarity, because storytellers out there have been doing this forever, where they will, consult, their old Latin textbooks or their old Greek textbooks and stuff like that to go ahead and come up with names. Google Translate makes that super easy now, where you can take an English phrase and translate it badly into virtually any foreign language. And so that's going to help, I think, for me, this mission feel really familiar. It's going to feel like something that you could have written, even if you are not a professional or semi-professional content creator. And that's really hard to pull off in a way that produces a quality mission. So again, I'd love to know who actually wrote this mission. Kudos to them for doing a really good job. I also really love how there are like little pop culture references, even if they're not intentional. Like one of the characters in here, his first name is Laris, or her last name is Laris, actually, which if you're watching House of the Dragon, and if you're not watching House of the Dragon, you should be. But, you got Laris Strong, kind of Hand of the King, or Master of Whispers for Aegon, that kind of thing. But also, like, again, that kind of pseudo-Italian, elegant-sounding names. When we get to the very end and I talk about kind of the games that I think that this would work really well with, we'll get into that a little bit. But even the MacGuffin itself, the intelligent painting that is kind of has this attitude to it. It's really, really funny. And I think that, again, it kind of helps it all feel really familiar in a really good way. Yeah, so I alluded to this point over the last couple of weeks here about how I think there are ways that you can connect this mission into Prisoner 13 as kind of an A-B, as actually the middle mission of an ABC arc. And so, here are kind of the ideas that I had about how to go ahead and connect this. So if you remember, Prisoner 13 has to do with you getting a known thief out of prison and returned back to wherever they come from. So the first question that I would have is, who actually was the one that stole the painting? Who was the member of the Agile Hand who stole it? Is that a potential connection to Prisoner 13? How would you infiltrate the Agile Hand? So once you've kind of made your connection to Prisoner 13, are they someone that you can go back to help infiltrate the actual group that did the thievery in this mission here? Or last B, could they be connected to the buyer for the painting that the Agile Hand allegedly has? Again, with Prisoner 13, you are dealing with somebody who is notorious for kind of gathering well-known and influential art and things like that. Are they the connection into the Agile Hand? Are they the one that they're looking to go ahead and sell it to? So I think that there's some really interesting ways to go ahead and connect this into an earlier mission from the book if you wanted to go ahead and run a multi-mission or a multi-session arc. Here's where I'm going to get a little bit critical of this. Now, keep in mind that this mission is seeded for 5th level, and a lot of my comments on this bit are going to be tied into that fact, right? I think that the difficulties for a lot of the checks in the mission are too easy. I think that there are bits in here that are too... they're not mysterious enough because they're so obvious. Like, for example, like there's a room that you have to go to, and you have to find a hidden door. Where is the hidden door? But it is under the beautifully upholstered blue chair, the only bit of color in the entire room. And that bit is actually called out specifically in the storyteller text. And so I think that that there are just times where it is a little thin in sort of details. You know, there's another bit where it's talking about the magical surveillance, right? And how easy it is to kind of subvert and everything like that. So, you know, I think that there are some levels that they could have gone a little bit deeper. I liked the list of guild member names. I thought that those were fun, but I thought another opportunity that they missed was that they could have again pulled from Prisoner 13 and used this suspicion mechanic that was in that mission here, because they talk a lot about how when the Thieves Guild, when the house for the Thieves Guild is on high alert, the suspicion mechanic does that exactly, and it adds a little bit of gaminess to that whole thing. And I think that was a missed opportunity. They could have called back to a previous mission, or even pulled the suspicion mechanic out of Prisoner 13, made it a feature of the book, and used it in a variety of different missions. We'll see if it could come up in other ones, but this is a second one where I feel like it really could have been useful. All right, so let's get down to the meat and potatoes. When do I think, having read this written, where do I think that it would fit in your campaign? And the first thing would be is that if you are playing like a super elegant Renaissance level setting, everything that goes on around this Thieves Guild absolutely fits into that. And then the Thieves Guild also kind of poses a really nice counterpoint to the elegance and high society aspect of it all. I think that again, kind of like the pseudo-Italian names kind of lend itself to that sort of high thinking. And so I think that could be a way to go ahead and really to introduce the mission in a way that was really, really effective and that would feel very much on point with the rest of your campaign. I think the second thing to go ahead and keep in mind is that because some of the bits that are so obvious, or some of the difficulty checks that are easier to go ahead and sort out, at 5th level, if you have players who have not experienced a mystery, or if you as a storyteller are not experienced running a mystery, this might be the one to go ahead and trot out, because it's not going to take a ton of thought to go ahead and figure out the mission itself, or the mystery that kind of sits underneath it. You know, and again, that's the bit that I was kind of like, oh, is that going to come off as a criticism? It's really not, because there are people out there who have never run or never played in a mystery before, and they maybe won't know how to go ahead and engage it. And by 5th level, you don't want to have to go back to the beginning of the book to the easier missions. So if they're at 5th level and they've never run one before, this might be a good one to go ahead and trot out if you want to go ahead and start introducing it. Or even if you just want to go ahead and give it a flyer and see if your players would enjoy it. That's the kind of situation that I'm talking about bringing it out here. And then lastly, of course, the other thing that I would suggest is trot it out after after Prisoner 13. I think that as the second mission in this arc, there are some connective tissues that you can go ahead and use to bridge it into the prisoner that you have let out in Prisoner 13, assuming that you did actually let them out, and you can kind of tie it all together. Maybe the painting is one of the things that's in her vault after she opens it up. There are a bunch of kind of ways that you can go ahead and bridge this all together, and kind of make a satisfying arc out of a variety of these missions. So yeah, so that's my thought. I thought that overall the mission seems a lot of fun, and I think that under some particular circumstances it could really work for your table. So yeah, there you go. That is Masterpiece Imbroglio. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, before you walk away, I want to go ahead and remind you too that we have at Tabletop Journeys a very active Patreon. We love our Patreons. They really help support us and help make sure that we can continue doing this every week. You know, we still put out 2 episodes a week on Tuesdays and Fridays on top of the video content that we're starting to put out here. So we'd really like you to go ahead and take a minute to go check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/ttjourneys. And we offer benefits like early access to episodes. We run Patreon-only games. Right now we're running a lot of Star Trek, but we're looking to go ahead and expand that into other games here. And a bunch of other benefits that you can check out. So really, we'd invite you to go ahead and take a look, help support the show, help support the work that we're doing here, and that's right at www.patreon.com/ttjourneys. Thank you very much for your time. I will be back next week with the next mission in Keys from the Golden Vault, and that is Axe from the Grave. Looking forward to that one.